teach people universal laws, not earthly information. The laws that apply to the butterfly, the ants, the trees, not things in books. Right? So what's happening to our people is that we were once like butterflies. We were once like water, stone, all the elements, we were like that.
Yes.
Until our brain started to grow, and then we started recognizing. So now, you, as a fleshly body, feminine energy, your brain start recognizing what was around you, the sun, the moon, the stars, the earth, and then you, the infinite being becoming flesh, recognize your surroundings, and you started to write about it. These words now became your definition of you. Before the words, you were infinite. You were at peace. Before the knowledge of your existence on planet Earth. So what you did, you put yourself in a confine. You put yourself in a belief system with your brain, because that's all you had to function as a human being. So all the words in your brain and everything you needed to function among men and women, you took all that information and you started to define yourself only as that information. Before you were this information mentally, you were this infinite being. So now, the challenge is to balance with the infinite you and the fleshly you. The brain that you have wants to tell you, and it never turns off. Even when someone says, can you turn the brain off? It still speaks through the mouth. It doesn't want to turn off because it's turned on planet Earth. It's awoken, the brain. The brain is just a muscle. It contains information just for, let's say, 150 years. Then the flesh itself, we call the brain, will transform. In this time that your brain is working, it overworks, trying to make sense of it all. It's trying to understand God as opposed to it's trying to understand the all. What the brain is trying to do is trying to figure and make a connection with God. But the spirit was always connected. So now that the brain is awoken, the brain is trying to be the spirit. But the brain and the words and the information cannot be sufficient to explain or to make a connection with the all. Only the spirit can do that, but the spirit doesn't have a brain. So what the brain is trying to do is to define God, define the all. But God cannot be defined. God cannot be processed by the mind. The conflict and the imbalance comes now when man tries to define God. And then now the brain, the body, the functionality with mankind becomes a breakdown in the human experience. So female, especially the feminine energy, who is a product of Mother Nature, the only thing that can really balance her to bring her back to her butterfly state, her water state, her tree state, is a language that is not written, that the mind cannot process. So what happened to us because of words and information and knowledge, we become spirits of the mind. We're no longer spirit of the soul. We're no longer spirits a part of God. We're seeking to define God, to think about God, as opposed to having a relationship with all energies, which is God. All. So you woke up as a little girl, your parents taught you something, and it resonates in your mind, and you're trying to connect it with your spirit for 40, 50 years. So your mind is trying to define and redefine your infinite spirit, but the mind cannot do that. The mind can never describe the all, because the mind is limited. So now, to go back to your butterfly state, nature as a tool helps you now to govern your mind. When you look at a tree or you step into a river, you're not trying to define the feeling under your feet or the smell of a roses. Your brain cannot define that. But that is the essence of God. What your brain did for many years is to try to define God through books. And the relationship and the essence of God hasn't been a part of your journey. So what we've done as mankind is to reduce the relationship with the elements of nature and increase the mental process for us to live a life in knowing God. So your belief and your faith and everything you've read now, what you're trying to do is to capture with your mind the essence of God. The only purpose for that was so you could coexist among men in harmony. That's the purpose of the word. The laws to live by, so you could live in balance with others, something and someone outside of you. The purpose of a book of rules, the essence of God in the book, is so that you could share this with another human being. And coexist with these laws. That's the only purpose for it. For within you, by yourself, with nature, or just by yourself, you have God within you, even without the book. The external book is for the law of coexistence. So if you live on an island by yourself, without a book, for 10,000 years, you will have inspiration from the all, or God, coming from within you. Another person comes on the island. Your experience will be written down. They will write down their experience. And now that material will allow you to understand each other. The essence of God will come from each and every one of you for you to coexist on the island. So now, whether you be Jehovah's Witness, Christians, it's all the same expression of coexistence. The Muslim, Christians, whether it be love, Yahweh, Elohim, and these are definition for man to coexist. What happens now, man starts to compete because of ego and shigo, mental competition. Words, wisdom, teaching, my God is bigger than yours. This is how I define God. This is how God spoke to me. Remember, there's only two on the island. You were on the island for 10,000 years. This person came from another island to coexist with you. The all spoke to this person this way. and they all spoke to you this way. You wrote your book this way, and that person wrote their book this way. And the commonality of all the books, love being the base, coexistence, love, sharing, and caring. There's a commonality with all your books. The commonality is life and how to go about living this life. What happens with us now, we started to hold on to our books and not wanting to let go. The book started to define us, or trying to define our life and even trying to define our soul. When we extract the information that God, you're the only one on the island, when you extract the information that God gave you, the extraction never ends. The word never ends. So at a certain age, you wrote what God told you in this book. Your offspring will also have information, more information. You pass on your book to your offspring. You're the offspring of your elder generation faith-based system. They gave you a book. It has final chapters that are finite. You take this book to define your life. But God is still trying to speak to you. You're still on the island. You found the book of your ancestors. God is still trying to talk to you to give you more information to understand God. Because you still have to understand God because you have a brain. And the purpose of this brain is to understand God, because that's all the brain does. The fingertips doesn't touch the water to understand God. The brain does that. The brain must be satisfied, its thirst and its infinite quench to understand God. And for the rest of the journey of mankind, this will be how it will be. You have received a muscle, unlike the butterfly, which is completely in a relationship with God. And you now are at a different phase where, like a butterfly before, not only you must understand God, but you have to be in spirit because you have this brain, which for the next 150 years is kind of your curse as mankind, seeking for knowledge of God. So the ants, the butterfly, water stone, all life forms of fish, they're in the frequency of God, not wanting to use their brain to understand God. And man is in a perpetual cycle with their brain, struggling with a muscle that the butterfly doesn't have. This muscle can be your blessing, it can be your curse. If you do not control this muscle, the brain, if you do not separate the brain from your spirit, in you trying to take the brain to inject within your spirit the definition the brain knows of God in the books that you found from your ancestors. Those books have defined God. The brain now wants to insert that definition into your soul and your spirit. Your soul and your spirit, being infinite, is resisting that definition. Because that definition of God that your brain knows, it's not sufficient for your spirit or your soul. Now, when your soul wants to be replenished, your soul will go now to nature. And when your hands touch the water and when your feet touches the river, it's satisfying your soul when the sun shines on you. Because these feelings and touch has no definition. For God has no definition. So the essence of life that is coming into you fills your soul. Music, the sound of the birds. This is now filling your soul. Your brain wakes up the next day and goes back into the definition of God. And it fights with the information, the sound from the bird. How dare you try to intercept the injection of my mind telling my soul this is what God is, when your soul is already complete from the sound of the bird or the touch of the water or the sun on your face. Your soul is in the relationship with God, but it is your brain. It is all that you have learned in your 60, 50 years or 80-year experience with your mind. It is your knowledge that has now tried to conquer your spirit or soul. So now you have to learn to turn your brain off and let it be obedient to your spirit or your soul. Let your spirit or your soul rise, the infinite part of you, and let it rise without a brain or a definition. Let it rise and receive the essence of the all of God, for it is complete. So your mind has to be controlled by your spirit and your soul. All this information that man has given you in this 150 years experience, it is stifling your spirit. It is stifling your soul. It puts you in disarray. So now your spirit is fighting back. It's waking up, and God is speaking to you.
Is that what they call the awakening?
Exactly. You're going through an awakening of the God self. We are all vessels. When the all is trying to come through you, you're not going to be able to explain it to another human being because it's not for them, it's for you. They call some of these people prophets or whatever. So God is trying to give you a word or a message, and you're trying to explain it to people around you. What you do is use whatever outlets, whether it be your iPhone recorder, a book, or a song, and just document it. The humility is not for people to understand you or you to be understood, because the Holy Spirit can never be understood. If it is your journey to experience this enlightenment, some of us have to sacrifice a great deal and give up material possessions and go in nature. As the essence of God starts to flow on you, you have to leave the world behind to some extent.
That's what I've been praying for. I've been praying for a way that this system, yes, I'm living in the world, but for God to make a way that I can just concentrate on Him. Because that's what I'm feeling inside. Just to concentrate on Him, on nature. The 9 to 5, I can't take the 9 to 5. So I'm asking Him, I know it's possible. How can I exist without being able to pay my bills? That there's nothing impossible with Him. So this is the turmoil I'm going through.
One of the greatest laws of the universe when I teach my students, we can interpret God as a change and a balance. When you use God as a change and a balance, everything that's happening to you, change and balance can solve all of it. Your environment to move to Jamaica is a change for a better balance. Your knowledge can be applied in any society, whether it be Africa or Jamaica. So the change you have to make to have the better balance. You play piano. You're a school teacher. your education. The active movement to use God now. Let's use God. Let's apply God. Instead of waiting on Him to do it, let's apply Him, which is a change in balance. The butterfly obeyed God through a change in balance, not through prayer nor faith. The water does the same thing. The force that describes God is change and balance. Most of our people knowing Him, they wait on the external, but not applying what Him is. Him is a change and a balance. Okay? So within your life, the tool, God the tool, what changes do you have to make to have the balance you seek to be with God? Since God is a change and a balance. That's the perfect harmony. So let's take change and balance and apply it to your life. Let's check her educational credential. Let's say God intended change and balance. He intended for me and you to have this discussion. There are beings here that we could coexist and help each other. And this is God's doing, this conversation. Through my growth and my understanding of God, I teach them. Okay? Because in most cases, some of us have different understanding and we help each other. Yeah? And I don't care if you're Jehovah's Witness, I embrace you because of the law of coexistence. We have to coexist. And if I'm with love, I have to be able to communicate with you in that basic love, right? So if I'm spiritual or if I've grown with my understanding of God, I'm supposed to be able to share it with you. You're supposed to share Jehovah with me. You see what I say?
Yes.
And we're supposed to come together and receive each other in that sharing of our strength and how we interpret our gods. Now, this is the problem for mankind. I have my brother Shalom, Elohim, they speak to me. So I share my interpretation of God. So we're all different brains interpreting God different ways, right?
Yes.
And nothing is wrong with that, right? If I could help you on your journey, it's beautiful. I don't care what you believe and how you interpret your God. Because we have to come to a common understanding that the butterfly, how the butterfly interprets God is through a change and a balance. The butterfly don't know God. The butterfly and the birds, and the trees, they're using change and balance. The force of God is a change. See how they're changing to balance in the realm we call planet Earth? They're so obedient. The tree is so obedient to the sun. So the sun is, let's say, the tree's God. And it waits for it to come out and give it light. You know? And the tree just sits there and waits for the earth to give it energy. And it's formed into a tree. It's not a dude touching it and making it and grooming it. That dude is a change and a balance. That's what's happening to make the tree grow. The temperature of the sun, the amount of nitrogen in the soil, the wind blowing. God is a change and a balance. So for 50 years, Randy Pottinger sat and he pondered from within him, and he's on the island, and he's writing a book, and God is telling him, go teach my people that I'm a change and a balance. I'm not a dude. I'm not a guy. I'm not a him. The same God the butterfly has, Randy, you have to follow that God. But the butterfly doesn't have a book, Randy. So God taught me to be a vessel to explain God in a different way to these brains that are calling him a he. So they're waiting on him to come to them to rescue them. No, Randy, explain to them, I'm not a guy. I'm not a man. I'm not a he. I'm a change and a balance. Explain to them that if they apply a change to their life, they will have a better balance with me. This is what the tree does. When the wind blows, the tree bends to have a balance with the wind. That is God working. Mankind in governments, if they change, they will have a better balance. The poor people will have a better balance if they... Oh, okay. Wait a minute, Randy. You're telling me that God is telling you in your awakening to help others who's having internal conflict, who's understanding God, and she wants to have a better relationship with God, with Him. Well, what is He doing? He is changing and balancing to make the earth. When they said He created these things, the misrepresentation of the word create, since He was all energy, all the time, infinitely, He changed into woman. He changed into man. And when the baby start to grow, the baby balanced into a human being. Oh, so the man and woman wasn't created. It was a change from the infinite being called God into flesh. So He is a change and a balance. So let's use God in the issue between Russia and America. Let's change what the Russians believe. Let's change what the American believe, and let's have a better balance. Let's change some of the things that Jehovah's Witness believe. Let's change some of the things the Muslim believe and have a commonality. Now we're activating God. Because if we change some of the things about us, we'll have a better balance and coexistence with others. So what Randy's mind has done is to learn to interpret God in a way the butterfly functions with God. The butterfly changes its wings to balance with the wind. Let's take you out of your situation. You live in a location in the UK, and you live in certain things in your mind, and you have to have a job, and you have to have a dwelling. Well, let's see what your talents are. Let's start writing some letters to the government, because you need to change your location, whether it be Africa or Jamaica, to have a more peaceful relationship with the all. So, where did you buy land? Or you're going to find chaos everywhere on this planet, even when you have to get now. You scared? You can't be scared. So, okay, what's your talent? How am I going to survive in Jamaica? You're going to change by getting a piano and teaching piano lessons. Or you're going to plant your flowers and sell them. You're going to change your fear level. You're going to change your fear level. So most of us, how do you apply God to you? You change. So many things. And you start seeing the balance. Because you waiting on Him. And when you pray, what you're doing as being part of Him, you're activating the network of Him. Because you're part of God, and you can never be you were never without God. When the system you learned taught you how to interpret God, they start putting God outside of you to search for God. So how they taught you about God is a separate entity making you. They didn't say, God didn't make you. You are a part of God already, having a relationship with God, but you just needed to understand you were just to change and balance in every move you make, because the balance is the judgment. So every move you made, you have to balance it, even with your health. even how you think, your level of fear.
Mm-hmm.
So now,
Mm-hmm.
even when they taught you your doctrine, well, God, even when they taught you how God spoke to the disciples, you have to say, wait a minute. You even have to question how they taught you. To say,
Exactly.
wait a minute. Is this how God really spoke to the people? Does my God really want to kill all these babies? What's going on here? So you have to change how much you consume, what you consume from the book to use for your balance. And since the word is coming to you, my dear, in the awakening, the word can never end. The word being your Lord and Savior, as you are brain and as you are mankind, the finite word that you're looking at, there's new words coming to you. And this is your challenge. I'm in company with people like you that's having an awakening, who comes to me for infinite help. I could speak to you in an infinite way. Because now you're in the infinite you. You have passed the stage of books. Here's what's happening to most of our people. I have a lot of students that suffer from schizophrenia. And this is why when I teach them the universal formula, all, which is God, equal change and balance. The state of which we live, the system that they've put us in, America or UK, will evoke a lot of dysfunctionality, whether it be the food, the TV. It will drive anybody crazy. Okay? So our children are not crazy. It is the environment that breeds these human beings that are just 9 to 5 is not normal. Land ownership is not normal. If you back in Africa, when our elders used to speak to the tree, no one said the elder was crazy. But if you go up to a tree right now and says, I noticed you've been standing there for 6 months. What's going on? You didn't call me last night. People are like, oh God, okay, she's lost it. But you're speaking to the spirit of the tree, because you have the same spirit as the tree. But oh, she's gone. She's lost it.
Yes.
So what they did, they gave you a book and said, that's the manual to your spirituality. But when that tree spirit wakes up in you, you're going to go crazy because they trained you in this book only to think this way. They trained you in the system only to think this way. So here's your brain and your spirit waking up. You're having the awakening. And you're like, wait a minute, what's this feeling? I feel like I could communicate with a bird, and all of a sudden they come, are you hearing voices? They would ask you. But the old woman in the village in Africa used to, oh, the rain is coming. Go get the stuff. Grandma, how do you know the rain is coming? Because I feel it. The clouds told me. So you have all these women that are going to lose their minds across the world, especially Jamaican women, because let me tell you something about Jamaican women that's unique. Not only they're multi-blood, multi-mixed out of many one people, which means most of the spiritual human beings, you have a part of their genetics, and genetics carry the spirit. Most Jamaican women are going to lose their minds in this new awakening. Because they've been indoctrinated religiously and faith-basely, and they move to the world of Babylon. They move to the world in this system that indoctrinated them, like this is the way of God. But they're finding God in nature now. And their conflict is starting now. It's like, but I know God is in here. This is the word. But what's this thing I'm feeling over here? Well, that's God too. For all the creatures, Jamaica is your mother. The mother is calling her children back home. You see, your grandmother was an ancestor, my grandmother. And the ones that are chosen to become healers and the ones that are chosen to take up the work of our elders, remember, our elders are dead. So who you think's going to replace them? You! They could call you a mad woman for all they want. You're going to be the old wise woman with the little house, planting her tomatoes, writing her book, singing her song, and your daughter's going to have a child, and you're going to be the wise one teaching that child the way of the land. It's just a natural progression. When the land calls you home, it don't care what Bible you believe in, what faith-based system you are. Before you had a brain to be a Jehovah's Witness, nature was with you. I'm a teacher. So we have gone too far in our minds. We've gone too far in our faith, quote unquote, faith-based system, our beliefs, our ideology. And one time I was dating a Christian girl and she couldn't love me because I wasn't adhering to her religion. I said to her, it doesn't matter what you believe in. The nature between me and you will be activated. And when that nature is activated, there's nothing you can do. You see, that is the war, you know. The nature is activated with the butterfly. The nature is activated with the bird. But you see, us human beings, we got this word and we're running around like the word is the most important thing. The butterfly does not have the word, nor a faith-based system. The butterfly is following the law of nature, which is primary. When we wrote that the word was before, of course. What do you think the word is? The word is nature. We developed the word in the Bible from Medu-nature in Africa. Of course. Nature was how we developed language. The word was before. So Medu-nature, the original interpretation of nature, is how we wrote the words, how we understand the sun. How we create religion was from nature, from the stars. So that's why the word was before, because the word was nature. So what happens with mankind, they look in these books and they're amazed at how God is speaking in the book. And they look at the S-U-N and they look and, wait, but God is speaking through the sun too, and the water and the rain. That's how we started to interpret God. That's why we put it in a book. The Holy Bible is the Sun book, the S-U-N book. That's what it is. It's based on astrotheology. Most of the teachings of the Bible is based on the stars. But they're not going to tell you this. That it was through nature we developed the Word. We developed the Word. It was man inspiration from nature, which we call God. We put God's Word in a book. And that Word taught us how to live among men. As nature had a natural balance, we transfer the Word of God, which was nature, into a book. So God is able to be transferred in different mediums, in all mediums. So he have a book. But when it's time for you to consume the source of the book, the sunlight, the wind, the water, the herbs, that will call you back. And if you do not obey nature, you will not have the balance with God. You could be locked in a hole in a prison with a Bible for 10,000 years. I have a good relationship with God. I'm good. But you don't. You don't. It's in your head. It's not in your body. It's not on your feet. It's not going through your nose. It's not in your hair. God is in your head. God is not in your physical, electrical, magnetic spirit. God is not in your soul. You're not in any relationship with God. God has just been in your head. And when God now wants to be all of you, because God is in the all, you're going to lose your mind because you're trying to keep God in your head, and God can only be in your head. Your head is going to explode because that's what your brain tried to do. Your brain tried to put
Mhm.
God in your
Mhm.
brain, and God cannot fit in your brain.
Mhm.
So then you're going to explode. You're going to be a mad woman running around. Hey, I'm so off balance. They're doing, and then you start saying they're doing stuff to you. There's nothing
Yeah.
outside but you inside. You're the one that's exploding inside of you. It has nothing to do with your job, because you, if you had a better relationship with nature and a better balance, you could survive anywhere with your God power, even with the cynical job. The art of survival with God being all places doesn't necessarily you have to physically be in Jamaica. To have a better relationship is first identifying the tool of God, change and balance. So when you go to work, you know how to change your psyche. You know how not to say somebody is messing with you. You're messing with yourself. Every action has to start from within you. Every thought, every process of somebody outside of you has to start from within you. If you close your eyes, they don't exist. Is when you see them, they exist, and how you interpret them to be a damage to you. So you change your thought process that something is happening to you from the outside, when in fact it's happening to you from the inside. You are the cause of it. You know, who's they? But they, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to live in the cave. Do you see them? Are you okay now?
No.
So the they is within us. The mind is playing tricks on us.
Mhm.
And until we put that mind in check, there's a headset I wore for 20 years to calm my mind. And whatever my circumstances, I have to know that it is my change in balance. And whatever sufferation I had to shut my mouth and take the beating and be humble like the tree when there's a drought. Because there's a drought for humanity. And this drought, you gotta be that cactus, and there's no water for me. And then you go into the inner core of you, and you say, let it rain, and then it starts raining, and the garden pops up, because you have the power to make it rain. You see what I'm saying? And that's your prayer. That's your relationship. So you want all of this stuff to not happen to you and you to have a better relationship. You command it. So in your awakening, don't blame mankind for nothing. Don't blame the job for nothing. The first thing you change to balance is to blame yourself for not having a better balance with you. Change how you think of the all. You see? You change the word, how you recognize the all as the all, because I teach my students all. The way they taught us about, a Rastaman used to say Selassie. He don't say Selassie no more. He says the all.
Yeah.
Because now he understands that the butterfly is in command of the all. The ants is in command of the all. So I better be in one with the same God that all of you have. I better accept that God and not my own. I don't have a personal God. There's no such thing as a personal God. You can't have a personal God. So what did we do? We tried to hold on to our own brain and ego and shego to have a personal God, so we could hold on to our little selfish self and our salvation and our transformation to go to heaven. It's a selfish, self-serving interpretation of the all. So then we're serving God in our own way. That makes no sense. The same God you serve is the same God I serve. We use different words for it because of our brain. And until we cut off our head and our blood can be our truth from our neck, we will not have a relationship with the all. Our brain has to be turned off. There can be nothing between you and the all but your blood, your spirit, and your soul, and electrical magnetic energy. And when you get to that level, you're now in harmony No matter where you are, whether it be UK in the wickedest job or you in a nuclear war, you cannot be shaken because now you're with the all. Your decision, your circumstance can't frighten you, can't be. So as a Jehovah's Witness or a Christian, you cannot be shaken.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you cannot be shaken because you really have it. You overstand it. You cannot be fragile because it's not outside of you, it's within you. And since the message is coming to you, you better find a recorder or a pen and the all God will show you what you need to write to follow your commandments. God is giving you your own commandments. Know that you live and that you have lived the righteous way in reading the book, the laws of man and morality, because you have lived the 50 years of following the word, and nothing was wrong with it, and you've lived the coexistence and you read the word. You have refined yourself now where the word is coming through you.
Okay.
So now you are the word. It's not that you don't need it, you've become it. And now you have to write it.
It's transformed me.
Yes, you're transforming. You're thinking you're asking for a relationship with God. You're walking it. That's why people can't understand you. You're seeing it all around you. You're seeing what they're doing to you now. You see the toxic. You see the electric. You're seeing everything. Everything is being revealed to you because God is seeing through your eyes.
I see everything.
Yes.
I said, God, why you show me so much?
Yes, because you had the capacity. Now your flesh is not going to be able to deal with it. When you start being a part of the all, which you are now, you're not just a student anymore, you're graduate. You're walking with God now, so God has shown you everything's been revealed to you. Okay, so now we say to you, slow down, you're in the awakening, record everything you feel, don't worry about the people around you, try your best just to get by each day. Shut your mouth. When God starts speaking to you, the first thing you do is shut your mouth. You don't share it. You don't try to explain it. Just document it and go into isolation to a point. Breathe. Balance yourself physically. If you have to run and walk, go run and walk. Change your location. Don't stay in one place because the Holy Spirit's going to come to you. And if you stay in one place, the Holy Spirit could actually destroy your flesh. So you change and balance. The butterfly sees all things. The birds do. They feel all things. The insects know when it's going to rain. So now you're becoming a butterfly again. Just this is a 360 of you, where your brain become less and you're opened up to everything. How do I balance? Randy's coming so fast. Well, take up your iPhone and record. What do you think I had to do when God started to speak through me? What do you think I had to do? My family said I was crazy. I had to develop my art. I had to find an outlet to express it. And no matter what you say, me leave in the system. Me I own another same. I could heal people they're healing. I could heal people through my teachings. Because I've been there. Done that. My tool is change and balance. So I can't coexist with normal people no more to a certain level. No. Because I can't. Because you're walking with God. So when you start walking with the force, change and balance just to tip a toe around them, even your family. But coexist with them on their terms, not on yours. Your terms is bigger now. You expect more. You expect more truth.
Yes.
You expect more discipline.
Yes.
You expect more. But because you're walking with God, God expects more from us. So you're going to become a bigger entity of them. Go, because you're walking with God, you could lower your frequency at any time to just be like a little dummy around them. Act like them. If they say A,
That's,
say B. Don't say C. Don't go deep. Don't ever talk like this to them. Don't ever be in their presence, because God is with you. So in my book, when God gave me to write, never stand in the presence of man, for they will never understand my plan. As God is revealing to you, you're going to get the directions. And when you get the directions, take your time and follow them. Obey the law of reality. A madman said to me once, just don't fly off the building. Whatever you do, do not jump. And that's when I knew he recognized that, yep, he's in the frequency. The madman was on the street. I went on to him, like, yes, I'm there. And he's like, whatever you do, don't jump. And I'm glad for that madman, because if it wasn't for him...
That's not a madman.
It was wise, because he was experienced. He had the awakening. There's no such thing as a madman, but that's what we call them.
No.
The people who have awoken from this toxic life that's been defined for us. Now, some of those people are here to guide us. And now, me as a teacher who's gone through it, who's found some balance, and I could give to my students a formula of the universe, and I say to my students, remember, my disciple has been schizophrenic for 30 years. And when I gave him the formula of change and balance, he's one of the most healthiest human beings. He teaches me now. If I'm off balance, teacher, mentally, he's there. Nothing. Even still, he's reaching out to the galaxy and stuff. That's a proponent of him. That's part of his spirituality. Just because he's in one place. You see, whenever we don't function for the system, we're considered dysfunctional. But when we function for God, you're going to be functioning for God. And you will be infinitely happy, spiritually happy, because you're functioning for God and not for man.
Mm-hmm.
You see. And pastors can't teach you this, because they're going to go to scriptures. Did I go to scriptures? I went to one. But do you hear me talking about scriptures while I'm talking to you? No! Because I'm speaking from the scriptures I was given to. And at some point, you're going to be speaking from the scriptures you're given to. Now that you're waking up, you're going to be writing those understanding, overstanding, and innerstanding. It's a new journey for you, a new day. So since you finish grade 1, which is your faith-based system, your Bible, you're going to grade 2. If you survive grade 2, you'll make it to grade 3, which will be your salvation and peace and tranquility and humility on earth. If you make it to grade 3. You got to pass grade 2. If some of us get caught between grade 1 and grade 2 and we never make it to grade 3. Grade 3 is where you won't come back here on earth in the same misery. Because if at a certain age you only make it to grade 2, you're going to come back to grade 1, go to grade 2, back and forth, and you'll never make it to the butterfly, grade 3, where you don't have a brain, where you don't have a faith-based system, where you have no words in your head, and you have no definition of God. That's grade 3, where there's no information. You're just in peace and bliss and tranquility, where your brain has been shut off. Your brain is not important anymore. Your thoughts are not important. Where you just live, where you just be. And everything...
With the one.
There you go. Everything everybody say is true. Okay. You could accept it all. You could go to a mosque and worship. You could go to a Christian house. Okay. Because now you're in the all. All of it is part of you. And you receive it all as the Word of God. That's grade 3. You see? And that's where you graduate. That's where your brain not stuck to nothing. That's when you're free now. That's when you don't have a definition. Am I a woman? No, you're a galaxy. You're an infinite being. Mom, what are you? I'm an infinite spiritual being. When were you created? I was never created. I have no beginning and end. I'm a part of God. In grade 3, when I teach my students, when you arrive in grade 3 and the teacher teaches you, says, there was no beginning and end to you. She said, but who created me? You were never created. You changed and you balanced. But who is God? God is not a who. God is a change and a balance. But you're still in grade 2. Take your time. I'm going to leave these books for you, and these are your assignment. Read these books from grade 3, and you might graduate. It's not guaranteed, because you've been in grade 2 and grade 1 so long. So I was sent to leave you a book for grade 3, Change and Balance. So now the words that you used to use in grade 2, over time, you might not learn the manual for grade 3 in this generation, but this book that I leave for you is for the next generation. Because you living here in grade 1 and grade 2 has done a disservice on planet Earth. You see the chaos you live in separately with each other? What you believe in? It's not working. It's insanity. All of you. So God has to send a grade 3 teacher to teach about the universal laws as opposed to earthly laws, manly laws. Define for us, teacher, a law that governs all law in the universe, in the realms that there's no time. There's change and balance. Teacher, teach us the only truth in the universe. Give us the God equation. All equal, change and balance. Only a few have received this teaching that I've given them. Only a few will understand it to the capacity as they live. And they will continue this teaching at grade 3. Only a few of us made it to grade 3 and graduate with honors. Because in order for us to graduate, we have to compress all words into 3. All. All word known to man has to be 3 letters. All. And all has to be something that you could use. Change yourself to balance. That is the law of the butterfly. The law of water, the law of stone, the law of black hole, the law of life, change and balance, the law of insects, the law of emotions, the law of thoughts, the law of divinity, the law of all things and emotions and thoughts and mathematics and black hole and stars and galaxy. All things do only 2 things. Change and it balance infinitely. So God the all is a change and balance. So apply a change and balance to your life. And you will find the peace and tranquility you need on planet Earth. Apply the God formula to your life. Change change how you think about your job. Change how they think about you. Change how you think about you. It's all a change in your environment, which is your body, your mind, and your soul. Use the God formula. One of my students, at the end of me teaching her, for many hours she listening to me, she says to me, Randy, you always act like you know everything. And I said to her, I didn't get a chance to say this to her. All, which is everything, equal, change, and balance. She proclaimed the only truth to be change and balance. And then at the end, when she rebelled against me, with all human beings will, because their mind is in grade 2. So they will all hate what I'm saying because I'm saying it in grade 3. And a few of them will get it and shut off their brain. Because when you get to grade 3, information is not important. It is the action that is important. Change and balance is not the information. So all information is changing and balancing. All mathematical numbers. So when she said, you act like you know everything, he actually gave you the formula to everything and you didn't get it. And that's why she had to leave the class. Because they've never found a man or a being or intelligent being that knew the formula to God. So now when I give it to them freely with love, they want me to just, they can't believe that the man walks and here's the God formula, use this. That's a level of infinite humility I have to have something. But if I was a Einstein, a white guy with robe and long, nice blue eye ear, and I was floating in a cloud, the teacher is back. Consciousness. Consciousness is the teacher. And the consciousness is all around us. And if some of us had patience enough to sit and wait for the consciousness to come in us. So the consciousness came within me and I was patient enough to shut my mouth and follow directions and shut up. So when a supreme being like you come to receive what was for you, if you were supposed to come, I wasn't going to be physical because it says never stand in the presence of. So I come to you virtually in the third dimension, so you will never have a chance to meet me, to see me, to touch me. Because in the past they've destroyed consciousness like this. All the teachers that came before, they've destroyed them physically. So if I'm to be a teacher that come now, I will not come physically to you.
Okay. I've been praying for destiny helpers to get to me, to help me, because I said, God, I know you're blessing me. I know you're answering my prayer, but you work through a man to help a man.
Oh, there you go.
And I said, I need that man to help me, man or woman. That's what I've been praying for.
Whatever help I can give, or I give, it's a blessing to speak to you, because to know that people like you out there with the struggle, to help another one along the way, it's a beautiful, I've done my work, my part. My kindness is for you to just be at peace with you and accept you for all you are, and don't worry. No. I'm going to release my teachings in a book form, and I'm going to leave it that way because I'm leaving for the mountains. I'm not engaging with people much anymore. Some of them disrespected me, and I'm closing the doors because of that. And for people like you who are humble to receive, I mankind is like that. And if they can't process, like you said, if they can't process what you're saying, they will rebel against you because it's happening to them, but they can't contain it. And you, with your wisdom and with your journey, is a very destructive energy from human beings. So we have to keep it virtual so I can live in flesh in peace and tranquility. You see, when I know that a spirit is sent to me like yourself for guidance, I don't turn you away. To us, we're here. Why did you think I couldn't help you? Don't you know that you asked for this? And here it is for you and you didn't know your prayers are being answered? This is the beginning of you doing your journey to heal yourself.